Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show, heard Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on PSA.com and the PSA Facebook page. The Great American Collectibles Show is brought to you by PSA and the National Sports Collectors Convention. Tonight's headlines are brought to you by Sports Collectors Daily. For all of your hobby news, features, and more, visit sportscollectorsdaily.com. And now, your hosts, Tom Zappala and Rico Petrocelli.
Hey, I just had a protein bar. Is there anything on my goatee? There's nothing here, right?
No, but there's eggs on there.
We good?
A little bacon.
Right. Yeah. Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show. Tom Zapp with my paisan, Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petrocelli, shortstop, third baseman, bench. Right? At the end.
Played a little second base.
Did you?
First base, yeah.
And you were a quarterback in high school?
No, not in high school. Semi-pro ball.
Point guard in basketball?
Yeah.
Just did it all.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, listen, we have a great show today. First, we're going to bring in our good friend, Joe Drelich from the Philly show, CSA show, and future head, along with his two compatriots of the National. And then our other good friend, Mike Heffner. You know, getting Heffner is like trying to get, the president. Mm-hmm. His subordinates are always the guys that appear in the show. But I said, no, we need Heff. Heff has to be on with us today. So we're going to bring in Joe first. Mr. Drelich, how are you?
Headlines.
Doing well, guys.
Good.
How you guys doing, Tom?
Good.
Hey, Rico,
right.
how are you?
Now,
Good, Joe.
Joe, the headline for today is a National Sports Collectors Convention is set for locations through 2025.
Nice.
The National Sports Collectors Convention will be returning to a pair of familiar locations in the coming years and is staying in the Midwest for now. Early last week, the NSCC announced the results of a dealer vote, and here are the results.
Okay.
2023 Chicago Stevens Convention Center, July 26th to 30th in 2023, which is our favorite location. We love Chicago. 2024, the Cleveland IX Center, back in action. That's July 24th to the 28th in 2024. And then 2025, back to Chi-Town, Chicago, at the Stevens Convention Center, July 30th to August 3rd, 2025. I'll be an old man by then, Rick.
Yeah, you sure will be.
Oh, okay.
But, no, that's a good idea.
Those are good.
People, can just think in advance.
Yeah, I love
we
Chicago.
know where we're going.
Cleveland is good, too. I like Chicago, but Cleveland is good, too. Cleveland has hosted the show 7 times since 1997. Listen, if you want the whole article, you can go to our good friend Rich Miller and the staff at Sports Collectors Daily to get your info on the National. But we're going to talk to Joe right now. First about the Philly show, Joe. Joe, your Philly show has become a mini National. That's what I call it. It's a great show. Tell us about it, because it's a new location.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, again, the Philly show, since 1975, started out originally as a card collectors club. I don't know if I told that portion of the story or not, but Bob Schmier started, the Greater Philadelphia Collectors Club, which spawned into the card show back in 75. And he kept it in the, outside of Philly region for many, many decades. And, it's an interesting show on a lot of levels, just the history of it, going back to 75. It also, survived a bunch of location moves. The building that they originally had it in was sold. They had to move multiple times. And, every year here we are, 47 years later, and the show's stronger than ever. And, again, we're faced with another move to accommodate not only our move wasn't just about accommodating more dealers. That was certainly considered, but it was also about a better experience for the customer. The aisles get narrow, they get thin, they get tight. When you start to have, pretty good autograph guest list, that creates, additional people that might just be, coming in there to see players. So we want everybody to have a great experience, whether you're there to shop all day for cards, which is what that show is known for, right? It's a vintage card show. It's an old school card show. It's a historic card show in my opinion. And speaking to your point, calling it a mini National is certainly, it's a wonderful thing to say. I mean, I don't look at it from that respect. so to speak, that way, because the national is the national. But we're happy to have a show 3 times a year for 47 years. Everybody knows, we're the first week in March, third week in September, first week in December, and you can set your clock to it. One of my favorite things is we still send out over 3,000 postcards about our show, because our customer base doesn't necessarily have internet access. We used to send out about 11 or 12,000, but we send out almost 3,000 now.
Something. We talk to a lot of dealers. We talk to a lot of hobbyists, and there's a lot of secondary shows to the national. I mean, smaller shows, Philly being one. Philly always comes out on top, man. When you ask these guys, hey, forget the national, put it aside. What's your favorite show? It's the Philly show. They love the Philly show. I mean, I don't know if it's because you've been around for 47 years, but we've never heard a bad thing about the show.
It's run right.
It really is. They do a hell of a job.
I was there, so I know firsthand. Of course, my expertise in this field has been very well.
Well, actually, your expertise has really increased the last several years. I mean, you know what a baseball card is now.
That's right.
Which is
those little cards.
Joe, tell us about the new location, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just 6 miles down the road from where we were. We were in the Valley Forge Casino Resort for the last 13 years. We've maintained a great relationship with them. They're still a host hotel for us. So a lot of our guests that like to stay at the casino, we have a relationship with them. We have a discount code. So, we were able to block off, I believe, 75 rooms for customers to stay at, which I believe it's sold out. So that's good news for the casino as well. And then, basically we're 6 miles down the road at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center, which has become, a prominent spot in that area for trade shows. And, they have almost 250,000 total square feet, broken up into a couple of different spaces. So in essence, our show is going from a 55,000 square foot footprint now to a 75,000 square foot footprint,
Fabulous.
Which is allowing us some additional dealers. We did add about 25 dealer booths to the old floor plan, but more importantly, it's given us more space for our autograph pavilion, for our aisles, and to make a better customer experience. So,
Joe, before we let you go, can you kind of whet our appetites with some of the signers that are going to be there?
Yeah, sure. So for this show, we're excited to have Jason Worth at this show. And the reason that is he was an '08 Philly. He was obviously also pretty prominent with the Washington Nationals, but he's a bit of a recluse. He's not, he's got the big beard, right? But he's not a signings kind of guy, So we've been working on Jason to come to the show for years, and he's always been very cordial and very accommodating from speaking with us. But he's an outdoorsman. He doesn't really like to fly back to Philly for something like a card show. But we've just been kind of letting them know how much people want to see him. And part of that '08 team, if from the collector base side of things, if you have a team piece, almost all the team pieces are missing Jason Worth. So he's a really big one.
He's a good player.
He was a great player. Really? And then we also have, a Philadelphia legend, football player, Brian Dawkins, who is, we haven't had Brian at the show for about 4 years now. And every year he's our number one guy that people want at the show. So we're super excited to have him. And then we're also rolling in some non-traditional. Philly show traditionally brings in Philly athletes for the most part, but we've been trying to expand and grow on that. So we've got Ricky Henderson coming to the show. We've got Jim Rice coming to the show. John Smoltz is coming to the show.
Great.
So we've got a really nice
lineup.
We've got a really nice mix of guests. Harold Carmichael, who's only his second appearance since Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Philly legend, but he really hasn't been doing anything since COVID. So the lineup is looking good. We don't crush it with the guests. We try to keep it around 20 to 25 guests. So we're right in that. I think we've got 20 or 22 guests. And ever since I took the show over, we've had Bobby Shantz at every single show, and Bobby will be
still there again.
So,
we had
95 years old.
Yeah, we had fun with him.
His birthday's coming up again. So his birthday's in a few days.
For more information, people can go to the PhillyShow.com.
Yeah, PhillyShow.com. Real simple. Yeah, check us out. Come visit us. Yeah, we'd love to see you guys, and we appreciate the show's support, and we love being on the show.
Anything you guys need, that. All right, Joseph, thanks an awful lot.
Yeah.
Joe Drelich from the Philly show and the CSA show, Chantilly.
Yeah.
All right, listen, we're going to bring in our guest host right now. What a handsome guy. Look at him. What a handsome guy. Hi, Heff. How you doing?
I'm moving away from this.
Mike Heffner, president of Lelands.
Yes.
Heff, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. We're so thrilled. We were talking about you, trying to get you on instead of your, we love Jordan, but trying to get you on and corral you is like sometimes.
Hey, Dan, what's up?
Try. It's tough sometimes, but that's okay.
They're great people.
Oh yeah, no, you've got a great staff. Heff, we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to be all over the place. I know that you're kind of you're always open to talk and discussion about different things, but obviously we're going to talk about the items, the auction item. Listen, I need your help in this one. You have. He's got
anything for you, Tom.
Well, I'm putting a bid in on a one bleacher seat from Fenway Park that is dated. I mean, like dated. Do you have any idea how old that seat is? I did call Jordan. I said, Jordan, are there any markings on it at all? He couldn't find any. Do you know anything about that seat?
Which one is it? It's
a navy blue one. It's a navy blue bleacher seat.
Yeah, those I believe were installed in 34 at the opening.
I'm going to buy one of those, baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what are you going to do with it?
I'm going to put it in my office.
Oh, I thought you were going to sit on it.
No, it's going to be in my office.
We should give it to Rico, and Rico can use it on the show.
Well, actually, Rico, when he played, used to sit in the original ones every day.
Yeah, very funny. No, the old seats were made for people
that are like 3 feet tall.
3 feet, 4 feet tall. I mean, people must have been small then.
Heff, I'm going to win that damn thing. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I'm going to bid on that. I wanted to find out first. When is the auction in, Mike?
It ends September 17th.
All right, so we got some time. We got some time.
We got a little time left.
Awesome.
11 days. But
so listen, the other thing is the Brady pre-retirement ball is back. Tell us about it.
Yes. Well, of course. You know all about it. I don't have to rehash the story of what happened when it went up the first time. Every time it brings me pain to talk about that because it was just such an odd situation.
It really was.
And, the consignor agreed to sell it again. I guess we could call it the most infamous football in the hobby. So I think it still has value. It's still a Brady touchdown.
Absolutely.
And he didn't throw any regular season touchdowns yet. So it still is his last regular season touchdown.
Listen, you hit it right.
It wasn't regular season. It was actually postseason. So it could continue to be the last postseason touchdown football also.
But you hit it right on the head. The ball, the ball now has kind of taken a life of its own. And the word infamous is what that ball is going to be about. And I think as the years go by, that ball is just going to get more valuable. Like the Wagner card. It's the same thing. It's the
first Brady retirement ball.
Exactly.
It's the first
one. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I can even see a card company, cutting that thing up and putting it in.
Exactly.
Not that I like that stuff. I don't like seeing the memorabilia get destroyed, but I could see something like that happen.
Absolutely.
In fact, I thought the first time around that something like that.
Yeah. Mike, you're gonna have a 52 mantle in the auction. As we all know, the last one went for $12 million. What, 12.6?
12.5.
12.5 million. Does this help the value of other mantle cards? Because I know that was
a great question.
9.5. I think almost a 10. So
does that 12.5? Does that card? You're saying with other 52 mantles, right? Is that what you're asking? I didn't understand the question.
Yeah. No, Tom, it was a simple question.
It was easy.
So it is. So, you have one, don't you?
No, I used to have, but no. Does it help the other mantles?
Yes, Rico. There's certainly a trickle down theory, and it's not a theory, it's a fact. There's a trickle-down fact that when these things start to, when a 51 Bowman mantle, if it sells for a lot of money, 52 Topps mantle, 55 Clemente rookie, and if one came out in a 10 and sold for millions and millions, even the ones, the cards that were poor or fair, they would go up in value. Yeah. So we've seen, even at the National, the value, people knew that this card was going to sell for, 10 million plus. Mm-hmm. So people were sort of buying up. It was really hard to get a 1952 mantle at the National in any grade. And we even got a little, I don't know if you'd say spooked by it, but we could have bought, we had two of them offered to us. And, somebody said that, the person selling them said we were offered this for them. And, usually when you hear that, you're like, I don't even want to know what you were offered. I just want to know, what are you going to take? What will you take? And we kind of called bluff. We didn't think they were worth that. And it ends up, it was 100% true. And actually somebody came and paid more than what he was offered for the cards. And I heard that happened to a couple dealers. There were a lot of 52 mantles sold at that National. And, the real reason is because people were expecting this one to sell for a lot of money, and people sort of investing in them and knew that they were going to take a bump and go up in value.
I'm going to ask both of you guys this question, and it's always I could never actually, and it's a wonderful card. It's a great card. It's an iconic card. The Wagner card, there's a handful of them. What is the reason, Hef? Is it because of Mickey? Why is that one card basically the face of all cards? Is it because of the first issue? Is it because of Mickey? What is the reason for that?
I think it's just a popular. It's because it's Mickey Mantle, and people from our generation recognize Mickey Mantle. Even a person off the street, you ask them, "Who's Mickey Mantle?" Great baseball player, great New York Yankee. Who's Honus Wagner?
Not sure.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
So the person off the street, it's just Mickey Mantle is so commercial and so, worldwide. He is known as, the greatest Yankee of all time. Whether he was or not, it's Babe Ruth also.
Right.
But Babe Ruth was, again, another generation. And I don't think there's anyone still living, or very few people that saw Babe Ruth play in person. So
don't look at me. See, let it go through.
Yeah. I had a twitch in my shoulder.
I know you did. Yeah, it's all right.
I think it's just Mickey Mantle is still very relatable to a lot of people in our generation, because maybe some of us didn't see him play, but still he's close enough to that generation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
He was the other thing.
Of that, Rico, do you have any good Mantle stories?
No.
Oh, yes, you do.
No, but now I grew up watching him, then I played against him. But the hero worship, of course, in New York, all Yankee fans, but even the Dodgers and Giants at that time who were there, just loved the guy. There was something about him, his humility, he hit. You talk about home runs. This guy hit.
What year was he?
Home runs.
What year was he a rookie? What was he a rookie? 40 what? 40, 51. 51 he's a rookie. How old were you in 51, honestly?
Yeah, I was
14, 15, 13, 12?
51, I was 10 years old, 8 years old.
All right, so
yeah, right in that.
So here's my question.
That's the age where you're heroes.
All right, so now he's your hero. You're 10 years old.
Okay.
Now we fast forward.
All right.
And you're playing against him.
Yeah, that's right.
What was the feeling like?
Well, it was thrilling. When when we first came on, we didn't to Yankee Stadium play the Yankees. They still had their team, all the famous guys there. Mantle was playing first base because of his leg. And so my rookie year, I walked the first time that I got on base. Mantle was on first base, so I didn't know, oh, my God, is my hero. I'm right next to him. you don't realize he was big, but not big. You know what I mean? He was, I don't know, 6 feet, 185 pounds. And she says, Ma, I want to say hello. What do I do? What if he says, take a hike, kid? Shut up. What do you want, rookie? So I didn't know what to do. So I took a lead, came back 2-0. Now it's a hitter's count. I said, if I don't say something, I may never be able to. Who knows? And so when I get back to the base, Mickey says, hey, Rico, how you doing?
Before you said hi to him.
Yeah, I didn't say.
That's cool, man.
Oh my God, cool. I'm getting the chills now. Look at this. And I said, cool. Yeah, not too bad, Mick. How you been? How's your family? Holy jeez.
That's a great story. That's a great story. All right, listen, we're chatting with Mike Heffner from Lelands. We've got a lot to talk about. You're with us for a while, pal. That's all I'm saying.
All right, I'm here.
Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, mile high. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
For more than 30 years, Robert Edward Auctions has been the industry leader when it comes to helping you realize the most money for your baseball cards and sports memorabilia. In addition to their unparalleled reputation for honesty and integrity, they reach the largest number of bidders in the business and offer lower seller's fees, as well as generous cash advances up front on your valuable material. Contact them today at 908-226-9900. That's 908-226-9900 or at robertedwardauction.com.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectables Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Now look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
Even though he's from New York, we still love him. On deck with Rico Petrocelli.
Okay, it is time.
What is this? Is another opening?
Yeah.
That's different.
We have different ones. That's the creative genius of one David Martinez.
Well, he is. He's very talented.
He brings in these indigent people from the street, and they record a commercial.
That's nice.
Okay.
Good for him.
All right, it's time for our segment On Deck with Rico, brought to us by our good friend Brian Dwyer and the great staff at REA Auctions. Don't forget to get your bid in by going to RobertEdwardAuctions.com.
Okay.
That's Robert Edward Auctions for extraordinary results and extraordinary service. Excuse me, I forgot to get the shirt. I have to bend.
Well,
here it is.
At least you can still bend.
An official Great American Collectibles T-shirt this week goes to Matt Treeman. And here is the question, Rico. I kind of like this question. You said you didn't like the question. I like the question. Rico, what was your longest errorless streak?
I don't know.
Really? You really don't?
No.
How many games you went without an error?
One, I think.
One.
No, I have had a pretty good fielding percentage, and the reason was because Brooks Robinson was there my whole career at third, and then Louis Aparicio when I was at short. So I had no chance for Golden Glove, but I said I'm going to give it one more try. So one year I said we'll see what happens here. So every time a ball came to my left or my right,
a
tough play.
Yeah,
I fell down. Let the ball go to left field. Let Yaz get it. Now think about that, right? It's not an error. So I had a high, but it didn't work. Brooks Robinson, he still got the Golden Glove.
Can you remember, though, your worst fielding game? Like a game that stands out?
Well, it's always the one with the Yankees.
Was it really?
Yeah, bases loaded. We're up by one, I think. And no, I don't know if you ever heard No Neck Williams.
Oh, yeah, Walt No Neck Williams.
Walt No Neck Williams. He really didn't have a neck.
He was like this.
No, his head was attached to his shoulder. He had no neck. Yeah, it was down here somewhere. So, okay, one out. No neck. Hits. No, when he looked to the left, he had to go like this with his whole body.
Poor guy.
I swear. So he looks at me. I don't know why. So he gets a ball. Bang. Here it comes right down to me. Perfect double play ball.
Right through your legs?
I go down for the ball. It's one of these boom, boom, but good spin on it. So I go down. I go stay up. Ready to catch it. Boom. It hits here and goes down. Right through my legs. 2-run score. We go 35,000 people booing me. Petrocelli, you're a bum. You're no good. Yeah. So that was embarrassing, of course, especially against the Yankees.
But, that stuff happens every single day. Every single day. Listen. It really talk about.
No, it happens, but of course.
It happened. It had a very negative impact on Billy Buckner for years,
Well, yeah, that was a little different. World Series, but, yeah, it happened. You're right. And what are you going to do? You have to live with it.
Hey, Heff, going back to the auction, the Jordan rookie, PSA rookie card still has some steam, huh?
They do. They do. Not nearly what they were 6 months ago.
Right.
But they're still well above. I mean, I remember looking at those things when they were 20,000, and I actually bought a few at that level. And thinking they were high then, thinking that, hey, these are good investments, but it's going to take a while for them to really take off. And then COVID hit, and, the documentary came out, and, all of a sudden Jordan was Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
So, rightfully so. I mean, Jordan deserves a lot of credit. I mean, he is probably the biggest, he's definitely the biggest name in all of basketball history. I don't know, best player can be argued, but he's definitely, one of those guys who's going to be remembered 200 years from now. People are still going to be talking about Michael Jordan.
Now, the one that in your auction, what's the grade? Is that a PSA? Is it a 10?
We have two in there. We have two. We have a PSA 10 in there, and then we have another one, another graded example, an SGC copy that's a 10.
You know, Jordan also had the personality.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, he was something. I met him, you know, when he was baseball, when he was playing with White Sox Double-A team. In spring training, we had a game. I went over, and what's his name was the manager, Tito.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You know, and just great. He had that personality, and he was, I thought when he played, he was, gave the impression of being humble. That was how I felt. I don't mean, you know, wishy.
Yeah.
Just a guy who was there. He gave credit to his teammates and his coaches and all that, which I don't think LeBron James
Yeah,
has.
I kind of agree with you.
No, you know, he's more a little arrogant, but I mean, he was a great player. But that's just personalities, so I'm not criticizing it. But Jordan, to me, I just, him and Dr. J were the most.
I loved Dr. J.
Yeah.
Growing up, he just had a great personality.
Yeah, and their names, of course, Jordan names keeps coming up. You know. And is that part of? Does that help the value of a card
when you stay in the
when
spotlight?
the guys, staying in the spotlight, or does it matter?
Oh, I think the two go hand in hand: the desirability and the fact that they remain in the spotlight. I don't know if a guy like LeBron James, because like you said, Rico, the personality factor. I mean, no one's going to argue his ability on the court, but the personality is just not the same as a Michael Jordan, and the personality does help. Just like we spoke about Mickey Mantle. If Mickey Mantle would have been a jerk, you know, the stuff wouldn't be worth as much. This tends to go hand in hand with the players' personalities also.
Yeah.
Not only the abilities, but the personalities. There's guys, I can't think of any offhand, but there are guys that, you know, their abilities weren't that great, but their personalities were superb, and their stuff, you know, we call that, like, they have a cult following of these collectors who just buy the stuff, even though they may not be in the Hall of Fame. There's just such a huge collecting core because of the personalities, because of the quirky things they did, because of the jokes they told, because of the pranks they pulled on their teammates. They're collectible.
Yeah,
interesting.
Can I go to the next question?
Sure.
I see you got Holyfield gloves. I saw him on an ad. He's on an ad.
He's a couple. I've seen him on a couple.
Yeah, a couple of ads. By the way, can you get his ear? You know, maybe auction that off. That would be worth some money, wouldn't it? Well,
you know, I heard rumors about that ear being in a collection, and no one seems to know what happened with it.
Oh, Mike ate it.
Right, he probably did. But you know something, Rico is, you know, he's mentioning Holyfield's gloves, and that was the bite gloves, right? That was the gloves. But you know, I know that you're a boxing guy, and I'm a boxing guy, to be honest with you too. I've always loved boxing, and you know. I called you several months ago, and I you know, Tony, the late great Tony DeMarco, was very dear friends with both Rico and myself. He was a former welterweight champ of the world, and his couple of fights with Carmen Basilio, I think, were voted two of the top 20 greatest fights of all time. They were
Friday night fights.
Unbelievable. And Tony passed away last October, and his wife Dottie called us up. Because you know where I'm talking about, in the Sports Hall of Fame at the Boston Garden, they have a beautiful exhibit of Tony's, you know, besides Ted Williams and Bobby Orr, Tony's his, you know, all of his memorabilia, his championship belt, his robe,
gloves,
the gloves, and all that stuff. Nice. And Dottie, his wife, called us up and said, you know, I'm ready to get to auction it off. So Dick Johnson is still cataloging all of it. Oh. And then Ellen and I, she has a lot of stuff in a warehouse, and we're going to kind of help her out. And it's all going to go to Lelands.
Nice.
Yeah, she says, who can you recommend? I said, there's one guy. For boxing, he's the guy. So at some point in time, Heff, it's going to come your way. Exactly, I'm not sure when. We're probably looking at it maybe sometime in the spring, but I'll keep you posted on that. One other thing, Mike, is that, you know, you've had an influence on me personally as a collector, and I'm not kidding. You know, I've always been a vintage card guy, and I had a really wonderful collection of cards. And since the day I walked into your house, with the photographer for the book, the Diamondbacks collection, I was absolutely mesmerized by your personal collection. I have done a complete about-face with my collection, and I'm really, really getting into memorabilia pretty heavily that I absolutely love. And the reason being, I think you said it to me, is sometimes, you know, with a lot of that stuff, the DNA of the player is on the item. You know what I mean? Whether it be a bat or a signed ball or a contract, I'm really liking the vintage memorabilia.
Is this a question? Or
no, I'm making a point that he was an influence on it.
No, he said, not for anything, but he said I was a big influence on him for his collecting. See, now he's going to you because you're on.
Right. Well,
somebody else. Next week, it's going to be somebody else.
I got to call Dwight Evans.
We're both here, so we're both here, so it's all good. But no, I mean the memorabilia, and you know the memorabilia has really been it's so much more displayable. And I don't want to say anything that's going to get me in trouble with card collectors here, but the memorabilia,
and I agree.
The cards are great if that's your thing. You know, they're easy to store. You know, they're easy to card around. You know, they're protected because of the encapsulation with PSA. But the memorabilia is just it's to me it's so much more displayable. It's so much more fun. You know, to pick up a bat that Yaz used and to swing it. You know, you're not going to hurt this stuff unless you throw it out the second-story window.
Exactly.
You know, Rico, you could take a bat and you know you could swing it. You have Babe Ruth bat. Swing it. You're not going to hurt the thing.
You know, I mean, I've kept my key T206 Hall of Famers. You know, some of my Gaudy stuff. I've kept that stuff, but I've kind of a lot of my commons. I've kind of moved on from them, and I'm bringing in, as I said, some really kind of crazy neat pieces.
You know, it's the thing is, what surprises me, I haven't seen you on the show as far as shows as a collector. He's always been, you know, talking about auctions and stuff and asking questions of the guests. So now I hear you want to collect, and it's interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, as I said, I just picked up, for instance, I'll give you, I know one of your friends, I can't remember, I think it was Brian Dwyer. You know, I picked up one of his auctions. It was kind of cool piece. It was the 1920. It was the year after, or the year that Grover Cleveland Alexander won the Triple Crown of pitching, and he went into the Chicago White Sox and said, "Hey, I want to make what Walter Johnson's making, $12,000 a year." I bought his contract. It's kind of a neat piece.
Oh, that's a great piece.
Yeah.
Great piece.
Yeah. So I have his.
I think he's a really underrated player too.
I do, and so you know, I mean, I didn't have to break the bank, but it's a nice piece, and it's his 1920 contract.
Yeah, that's
kind
interesting.
Of cool piece.
Collectors who are listening and watching the show might be thinking, "Oh, that's a good idea. I never thought of a contract or a ticket or whatever else." So that's it's a good point.
You know,
very good point.
Well, one of the reasons too is you know, I know this is PSA show, but PSA has done a lot to really increase the values of this memorabilia. They're doing it the right way. If you take a look at the new bat, you know, John Tawby and PSA put up a population with some of the great bats that are out there. They're so limited, you know, in tens. You know, you look at Roy Campanella, for instance. There's 3 or 4 10s. Stan Musial, 6 or 7 10s. That's in the world. There may be a few out there that are ungraded, but top-notch bats of superstar Hall of Famer players are just not out there.
Absolutely agree with you.
Much scarcer than rookie cards.
Yeah.
Hey, you have a pretty nice Root signed baseball. Why don't you tell us about that?
Who?
Babe Ruth. You ever hear of him?
It's a nice one, and you know that's another thing that I love. I have a few in my collection, and I just think you can never ever go wrong with Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth, I don't care if you're buying his old sock that he didn't even wear in a baseball game. It's desirable because it's Babe Ruth.
Absolutely.
So Babe Ruth baseballs are like the #1 most commercial thing in this hobby. Everybody wants, and he signed thousands of them.
Right.
And there are a lot out there, but they're so good and they're so desirable. The one we have in the auction is a beauty. The ball is a little bit off. It's not going to be one of those $100,000 balls. It'll probably be a $30,000, $40,000 ball. The signature displays, you can see it 10 feet across the room. It's a PSA 8 on the signature. And, it's just one of those things. Babe Ruth baseballs, Babe Ruth signature on anything, to me, never loses value.
I was telling Rico, our web designer, who was your web designer, Kathy Burse Hurley,
right?
Or Hersey, whatever her name is.
Well, you're starting to
really. She's an older woman. Her and her husband, 2 weeks ago, were going through her dad's belongings in a box up in their attic. Yeah. And what does she find? She finds a Babe Ruth signed baseball on one panel, and the back panel is signed by Lou Gehrig. And then she finds a Lou Gehrig signed baseball that says 1934 World Series. That's not in his handwriting. Make a long story short, she called me up very excited. She says, "Is this thing worth anything?" PSA was nice enough for her. She got in the car, drove to New Jersey, got it authenticated, and she sold it in a private sale. So they're happy.
But,
wow.
Yeah. Very cool. Very
things
cool.
like that, rarely happen. What was the one where they had all those tie cob cards in the
Lucky
wall?
Seven.
The Lucky Seven. But here's a guy, Mike. I don't understand. He was just great. I played against him mostly in spring trainings, All-Star game. And you got a 53 Topps original Mays artwork. This happens to be artwork, and I'm sure the baseballs and bats out there for him. Why isn't he getting or in that category of Ruth, of Mantle, and some of the others? I don't understand it. This guy was a great player, maybe the best.
I think it comes down to championships. A guy like Jordan, if he didn't win so many championships, maybe he wouldn't be quite on the same level. And I think Mantle won a lot of championships. Yeah. Mays did not. Mays wasn't fortunate enough to play for the Yankees. Right. So he played for the Giants. And, he won a couple and he did great. But it comes down to the teams these guys are on also. If you ask me, not to offend anyone, but Willie Mays and Rico, you might, Tom, but Willie Mays was a better all-around player than Mickey Mantle.
So there's no doubt. I agree. No doubt.
And he even played in New York for part of his career, but then he went to San Francisco, and the market is not the same in San Francisco as it is in New York. So I think that has a lot to do with it, the teams that these guys played for, and also I think now that Willie Mays and Hank Aaron are both getting their just due.
Well,
they are increasing. They're getting closer.
Before we take a break, I want to just follow up to Rico's question. And I don't mean this to be a morbid question. Does the value of the ball go up after he passes? Or not just a ball, the card, anything.
Yeah, a signature. Well, the number of cards out there is fixed. There will be no more Willie Mays cards. The number of uniforms or bats out there, it's a fixed number. So they don't increase if he passes away. The number of autographs will decrease. He can't sign anymore. But in a case like Mays doesn't sign anymore anyhow. So the number, unfortunately, when these players pass away, they get back into the news and people do more documentaries, more series, more talk about them. So it does increase the value of the memorabilia overall.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We are chatting with Mike Heffner, president of Lelands. You're going to stick with us right to the end of the show. We've got some little business afterwards. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Cavalier and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business.
If you're a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Lelands Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Lelands was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Heffner carries on their tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Lelands has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Lelands, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. The highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
Hi, everyone. This is Rico Petrocelli. If you want to own a piece of sports history at an affordable price, take a look at the magnificent highest resolution prints of famed artist James Ferrantino. Check out the link here on the screen, and you'll be amazed at renderings of some of the greats like Clemente, Ruth, Brady, Jordan, and some of the greatest athletes to ever grace the sports landscape. The very affordable limited editions capture every shade of the original work. And yes, they're individually signed by James. Prices for these art gems range between $200 and $400, and will look spectacular in your office or collectibles room. Typically, a James original sells for 5 figures, but you can purchase one of his affordable reproductions now and cherish it forever. Go to jamesfiorentino.com/store and purchase your personal work of art. James Fiorentino, in our opinion, is the greatest sports artist on the planet.
With so many fakes out there, it's hard to figure out if the sneakers you want are real. But when you buy eligible sneakers on eBay, you can be confident they're genuine because every pair goes through a meticulous authentication process. Introducing eBay Authenticity Guarantee. First, the sneakers you've purchased are inspected by a team of professional authenticators who carefully examine the shoes, including color, pattern, logos, and materials. Then they're measured and compared to the eBay listing to make sure they match. Even the laces, accessories, and box are checked. Once your sneakers are verified, they receive an authenticity tag, and every tag is NFC enabled so you can see the detailed specs. eBay Authenticity Guarantee. No fakes, no fraud, no doubt.
Well, folks, eBay is the place to go for all of your memories.
You can't even see that.
I forgot my glasses.
No, I want to hear. No, let him do this.
Sports or non-sports cards, autographs, and much more. Whether it's a gift for that special someone or you want to just add to your collection, eBay's huge marketplace should be your first stop. And if you sell, now's the time to flip your cards and get some extra cash.
Pathetic.
Send it to us. I shop on eBay all of the time. That's eBay connecting buyers and sellers globally.
Listen, before we get back to Mike, let's talk about a new card show that we're very excited about. Primetime Events is Heff, you got to pay attention to this one. Primetime Events is proud to present the New England Card Show weekend. This 2-day show is on Saturday and Sunday, October 1st and 2nd at the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield, Massachusetts. The New England Card Show takes place from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield, and there will be over 300 tables and some signings by Red Sox legends, Rico, Petrocelli, and Jim Lomborg for autographs, auction houses accepting consignments, and much more, but that's not all. There's also going to be some Patriots players there. On Saturday night, starting at 6 p.m., join us for Primetime Saturday night at the iconic Basketball Hall of Fame for 2 great free admission events. First, Hobby Talk in the Basketball Hall of Fame Theater, featuring the best blogger in the industry from Tyler. His name is Tyler with Santiago Cards, Ryan from Breakout Cards, and more with audience Q&A hosted by Rob Gerard, the sports card therapist, from 6 to 7. Then doors open at 7 for Trade Night on the Hall of Fame's center court. Kid-friendly bar service and great featured vendors like Card Vault, DCI, all sorts of sports stores, and elite breaks. Admission is free. That's the New England Card Show, the ultimate sports card show experience. For more information, go to 860-819-4343 or go to necardshow.com for details. This show is going to wind up the biggest card show eventually in New England. So,
yeah, potentially it does.
Yeah,
and,
some of your guys are already going there. Some of your fellow guys that you compete against, but you know something. It's all friendly. I think some of the auction houses are going to be there. Let's get back.
Will you be there, Tom?
Actually, Rico's going to be there. Ellen and I are going to be there on Sunday, coming back from Albany. Yeah, we're going to be there on Sunday. All right, listen, Heff, we got a couple of more things to discuss. I want to ask you, let's talk about, we talked about the 9.5 Mantle ball. Now, that ball went for $12.5 million. What, in your, if everything was for sale, would the PSA 8 Diamondbacks Wagner card still, if that card went up on the market, would that card still be the most expensive, in your opinion?
The Honus Wagner?
Yeah.
The Honus Wagner card? I think it would be.
Yeah.
I think people would, yeah. It's just like the, it's like anything. I mean, yes, there's a story surrounding it, and the story adds fame to the card. the card is still, no matter what it is, it's a real Honus Wagner card, and it's a beautiful baseball card. So, there's no doubt in my mind if that thing went up for sale.
That would be the card.
Be more than 12.6?
That could approach,
be 20. We've heard 20,
25.
25.
50 million or more.
How much?
Definitely, it could approach 50 million or
50
more.
million. Imagine that.
I really do believe so. And then the pedigree, the fact that Wayne Gretzky once owned it, and that Ken owns it now, it just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, it's got the reputation. Now, I'll tell you one thing. I was talking to Tom about it. Being on national TV, their announcement of the 12.6, and then every time Wagner is sold, that's on national TV, which I think is great.
Mainstream is picking it up. Yeah.
Right. I think it's great for the industry. So you're right. It probably go for a lot.
Heff, are you happy? Wow. Are you happy with? I mean, you've been in this industry hobby for a long time, and a lot has happened over the last 2.5 years with the way it's evolved. Are you happy with the way the hobby is evolving, especially with the younger collectors / hobbyists? And you know what I'm talking about. We've talked about it a lot. I always like to get a different perspective. Yep. The whole concept of flipping and investing versus collecting for the love of it. Is there a happy medium?
I flip-flop on that. Like I really do, because people come up to me and know me, from in some of my other hobbies, such as racing, and more people are coming up to me and say, "Hey, my son is collecting cards now." So I haven't heard that for years. So I think that I am looking at it very positively. The fact that, kids are now buying cards again. And to me, that, we went through like a decade or two lull where there were very few kids. Even you go to the National, and it was mostly grown adults. Now this year I saw a lot more kids at the National.
There were. That's great.
A lot more kids are talking about cards. They're on the internet. They're communicating. They're forming chat groups. They're forming Facebook groups. They're, and these are kids. Kids. Let's get it back to the kids where it belongs. That's where it starts. If we don't spread, if those roots aren't there, in 2 generations, this hobby and industry is going to be in trouble. But I think now we're back to a place where we're actually growing it again, which is awesome.
And Ricky, you're a big advocate. You've been a big advocate of the modern, ultra-modern.
Well, because of that. Because to see the industry growing, you have to have the younger kids get interested, and it was great. The National was terrific. We saw so many kids there, and
but I'm going to ask both of you guys. We got a few minutes left. I'm going to ask both of you guys this, though. Doesn't it have to be instilled, though? Shouldn't it be instilled in these young kids to appreciate and love the hobby rather than buy that Tatis card and flip it, and now the card's worth, next to nothing?
What's
well, I mean,
you could do it.
You know what I'm saying? Shouldn't there be a foundation or a balance there?
I mean, I kind of agree with Rico on that one. What is the difference? Because, obviously they're evaluating the player's statistics. They're looking at it. And if they're looking at it as an investment and they enjoy it, fine. That's how I began. I didn't really start to appreciate, I was only 9 years old when the first Beckett price guide came out in 1979. But that is what really got me into collecting, because I looked at it, I was like, holy cow, $3, $2. And it wasn't all about the money, but that made it more interesting to me. It gave it some sort of form, to the hobby. This is the reason that guys collect, or one of the reasons people collect. So I think I think that they look at it from the value standpoint, but ultimately the history standpoint and the statistical standpoint has to come into play. So
interesting.
Doesn't matter.
Rick, before we end this, how about friend Joe, the Philly show? If you can read it, if you can see
I
it.
can read it. If you could talk.
Can you see it? Here. No, you
all right.
Trust
This
me.
is East Coast Sports Marketing and Hunt Auctions are pleased to present the Philadelphia Sports Collectors Show. The Philly Show, as it's really
called.
For Friday, September 23rd to Sunday, September 25th, held at their new location, the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center, Hall B, 100 Station Avenue in Oaks, Pennsylvania. Shop over 250 of your favorite hobby dealer booths on over 75,000 square feet of sports collectibles. Heaven from the 1800s to present day. Major sports auction houses and third-party grading and authentication companies are on hand to assist your collecting needs. The Philly Show is great. It's family-friendly, and all kids 12 and under get in for free. Autographed guests to include Baseball Hall of Famers Jim Rice, Ricky Henderson, John Smoltz, and 2022 inductee Jim Cott, Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Famer, and legend Brian Dawkins, and many more. For more information, go to phillyshow.com. Remember, since 1975, the Philly Show is where it all started.
Before we go to your website, the 1967 starting all-star team, third base, Brooks Robinson. Second base, Rod Carew. Center field, Tony Oliva. First base, Harmon Killebrew. Right field, Tony Canigliaro. Left field, Kai Yastrzemski. Catcher, Bill Freehand. Shortstop, Americo Petrocelli. And Dean Chance started that game.
Yeah. Well, he had some big years.
Wow. Pretty cool. It
was a thrill.
Pretty good company. What's the auction site? Lelands.com, right?
Lelands.com.
All right. Listen,
Lelands.com.
September 17th, the auction ends.
He wants that seat.
I have a wife. I have grandchildren. I am begging people, please let me win that. I'm begging to please let me win that seat. All right, I am going to put it.
You can't do that, Tom. You can't do that.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to win it anyway. So I'm telling you right now, I'm going to win it.
Yeah, let's get some of that couple of $1 million savings.
All right, Heff, we love you.
All right,
Mike,
love you
take
guys.
care.
Take care. Mike Heffner,
Take
Lelands. All right, listen, we're about out of time.
Oh, I noticed that.
Nice seeing you, brother.
Hey, nice to be seen.
Nice
first
to be
of
seen.
all.
With that being said, we love you guys. Great guy. Great auction house. Class act.
And a great interview.
One of the most respected guys in the hobby.
Yep.
All right, we're about out of time. Thanks for your help. Thanks for your support. And with that being said, happy collecting.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.